You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Thanks for joining me once again for part 2 of our weekend Cabral HouseCalls. We got through some great questions yesterday, answered some on coffee, toxicity, body odor, where we'll be shipping to in November, different parts of the world. We spoke about narcolepsy, inability to basically keep that brain awake. Spoke about the ability to increase energy. We talked about inflammation of the joints. We spoke about, I'm looking through all the different questions here, dental issues, especially in children, hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, type 1 diabetes. So really fun show yesterday. Hopefully you got to tune into that. That was episode 967. Just go to stephencabral.com/967 for those answers. Now, today we have more questions from our community. Again, always happy to be able to answer these. Exciting for me to see what people are thinking about, what's going on in their lives, and hopefully being able to offer some advice in any way that I can. So we're about to get into all those questions. These are now from the beginning of July. So we're catching back up. Now, instead of being about 12 weeks or so, now we're still exactly about 12 weeks or so in the queue with questions when they come in. All the questions that I answer here are from stephencabral.com/askcabral. Just remember that these questions will take about 12 weeks to get to, just because there'll be a couple hundred people or so in front of you. We've now answered over 2,000 questions on the weekend house calls, and we're going to keep going. Now, like if you want a recommendation because you have a question right away on which lab you should run or which supplement to use or anything like that, just go to cabralsupportgroup.com. That's a free Facebook group. And myself and my health coaches are in there every single day answering quick questions. Happy to do that. If you need my answer, happy to do that. It just will be, unfortunately, about 12 weeks or so. Now, I wish obviously I could make that happen faster, but there's only so much time, right? So we try to do the best that we can. The other thing I can say is that, so we want to be able to help you at the Cabral support group. And then this is obviously for me to answer personally. And the last part is if you ever have a customer service question, meaning like, looking for a tracking order number or whatever it might be, just use the email, and that's support@equilibriumnutrition.com, and that's going to get you everything that you need right away. All right, let's get into the first question. This one's coming in from Ginny. Ginny's asking, what are some good ways to fight high blood pressure? I'm taking 3 different medications. My blood pressure will spike to 225 or 160. This has been going on for close to 10 years. It started when I was first diagnosed with thyroid cancer, which is spread to the lymph nodes. All right, Ginny. Way back on episode 108, I looked back for you. So episode 108, I did a podcast. It was on a Total Wellness Tuesday show called The High Blood Pressure Hoax. So please do go back, check out that information. That was obviously about 2.5 years ago when I recorded that. But that's the thing about, traditional naturopathy and naturopathic medicine and functional medicine and bioregulatory medicine, that the mechanisms for high blood pressure will never change. So we recommend running the thyroid adrenal hormone as well as the hair tissue mineral analysis. We're going to figure out what's going on in terms of the hormones and electrolytes in your body. We're then going to most likely use products such as the Adrenal Soothe, such as the full spectrum magnesium, the deep sleep protocol at night, and we're going to help you to dilate the arteries, to relax the body, get in high potassium foods into your body, and allow you to balance out the calcium, allow you to balance out the sodium. And we're also going to reduce cortisol if it is high. So that's how we help people to re-regulate the underlying root causes that create high blood pressure. Again, are we ever treating or diagnosing or curing diseases? No, because in my opinion, a disease has a certain set of symptoms. So I don't even care about the name. What I'm looking at is the underlying mechanisms that cause that disease. And there's always an answer. There's always an answer. The problem is when you go to a specialist or a doctor, they're not always looking at it from a systemic viewpoint. And if you don't look at the whole body as one, then you don't understand how to help people truly get well. It took me many years to discover these answers, and now I just want to pass them on to you. So check out episode 108, And then if possible, you want to run the Dr. Cabral Big 5, ideally the omega-3 testing in there as well. If not, just run what you can, starting with the thyroid adrenal hormone and the hair tissue mineral analysis. And then the third one would be the omega-3 test. And then if you can do the organic acids test and food test, great. But if not, thyroid adrenal hormone, hair tissue mineral analysis, omega-3 in that order. All right, Katrina's up next. I'm really interested in your detox for leaky gut, as I've been tested for, but have not healed my leaky gut. I try to listen to your podcast. I'm in the middle of your book, and I live in New Zealand, but you don't ship there yet. When will you be able to ship to New Zealand? Thanks, Katrina. Okay. Well, I appreciate you reading The Rain Barrel Effect. Thank you for your support there. The detox I would do to help detoxify the body because you have leaky gut. And then what I would do is I would do the Candida bacterial overgrowth protocol, or if you've already removed all the bacterial overgrowth and Candida overgrowth, then I would do our CBO finisher, which is the Heal and Seal protocol to seal the gut. And that is the daily probiotic support as well as the healthy gut support. That's actually what seals the gut wall. Well, we hope to be shipping to New Zealand in late November. I don't see why we won't be able to. We already shipped to Australia, and you're basically just a little hop, skip, and a jump over. So I'm assuming that we'll be able to ship there in mid-November when we also start shipping to Europe as well. We're going to do our best. I will keep you updated on that. I do expect that in 6 weeks, we'll be shipping to New Zealand and Europe. Excited about that because we know we have a lot of people over there. And a lot of people will be joining the Integrative Health Practitioner Program. So we'll have a lot of practitioners over in Europe and New Zealand as well, which means that we need to make sure that we can get them and their wellness clients or weight loss clients or anti-aging clients products as well from Equilibrium Nutrition, which is the company that I founded and formulate for. Okay. Aurelie, Aurelie. Aurelie. That's my best guess. It's quite a nice name. I just wish I could do it justice in pronunciation. Dear Dr. Cabral, I'm hoping you can comment on a problem prevalent amongst females, cystitis or bladder infection. Once a year, at most, I find myself experiencing painful episodes of cystitis, usually around summer holidays, and I'm conflicted about what to do. On the one hand, it's excruciating that I beg my GP for antibiotics. On the other hand, by doing so, I'm wiping out my gut microbiome. Okay, Aurelie, this is a very straightforward answer for me, and I've been doing this now with women, the same exact protocol. It's never changed in 7 years, and it works phenomenally well. So for those that don't know what cystitis is, it's essentially a bacterial-based bladder infection. So it's a bacteria that gets into the bladder. It's also, we call it a urinary tract infection. There can be a difference, but really the bacteria is caused by E. coli. So what you want to do, and this is very, very important, is that you do want to make sure that you run what's called the stool test. It's a very specific stool test that tests for E. coli overgrowth. So that's first. The second one would be the organic acids test. Those are the only two tests that I'm recommending for you, and I absolutely would recommend them. So you probably can get it delivered to you. If you don't rebalance the E. coli, you're going to be more prone to urinary tract infections and cystitis, or just inflammation of the bladder. It can also happen with sexual intercourse, so do understand that that's a possibility. However, if it's typically occurring for you, I would absolutely look at those two labs. And then if you feel a infection coming on, you'll want to follow our urinary tract protocol, our healthy urinary tract protocol. We no longer sell it. We don't sell the immune protocols. We don't sell the urinary tract because we found it was easier for people to get it on their own. And it works, honestly, every single time. I was just with a specific health coach, and I was at a conference, and they used the urinary tract protocol that we recommend, and they were skeptical. They never thought it would work, and it works within 24 hours. It's very, very powerful. And again, I can't make health claims. I can't make any guarantees, but this is exactly what we do, is we use a product called U-Tract, and then we use ascorbic acid, not any type of vitamin C. It has to be ascorbic acid. And then we use citricidal drops, okay? And we use apple cider vinegar. Okay, so we're acidifying the urine. We're using the D-mannose, but from a very specific form called U-Tract. It's helping to then allow the E. coli not to be embedded and hold on to the bladder. The acidified urine then washes out the E. coli, and then because it's making you urinate more. And then at the same time, we're using the citricidal drops, which is it's a version of grapefruit seed extract to kill bacteria. It works phenomenally well. And then the apple cider vinegar helps both acidify going in, and then by alkalize, I don't mean change the pH of the blood, but I mean the minerals are used as well. So very acid-based in the beginning, and that's what we're looking for because these bacteria can't live in that type of acid as well. It works fantastically well. You use it for 72 hours, you use it to get well, and then one day after at the same time. So this is what I recommend. Again, I can't give medical advice, but that is exactly what we do. You take that mixture every 3 hours, okay? I'll try to do a whole show if I haven't done one that before on urinary tract infections. But essentially, you're doing 1 serving of the U-Tract, you're doing 2 to 3 grams of the ascorbic acid. Usually, because you're doing it every 3 hours, we're just doing 1 to 2 grams. You're doing 3 drops of the grapefruit seed extract, and you're doing 2 ounces of the apple cider vinegar. You're mixing that with water. You're drinking it every 3 hours. The every 3 hours is important because you have to keep flushing and flushing and flushing. And it works great. But again, you do want to look at the gut. You do want to look at the stool test and organic acid test so it doesn't keep coming back. Eliana is up next. Hi, I suffer from extremely painful periods. My mom had endometriosis, but I've been tested for it and do not have it. They cannot give me answers besides get on birth control, which I'm completely against. I treat my periods with herbs, exercise, homeopathy, etc. And I constantly find something that helps for 1 or 2 cycles and then stops helping. The cramps are severe, and some cycles I end up dry heaving or having nausea, back pain, and cramping. I also feel weakness, lightheaded when I'm on my period. I'm in search of all natural remedies that will continue to help. Thanks so much. All right, really great question. And we have answered this many times. I would love, though, to be able to give you a synopsis of that. You can literally just go to stephencabral.com/podcast. Let me see if I can do it right now for you as well. And let's see if it comes up with this keyword. I want to type in painful and then period. And we'll see if it comes up. All right. And what we'll do then is it does. So it comes up on episode 541 as well. I don't see it directly in the question. So why don't I just give you part of this answer? And the very straight answer is this. We need you to run a lab called the adrenal hormone test. You can add the thyroid on top of it if you would like. I always like having people run the thyroid adrenal hormone because it gives you your vitamin D, your insulin, and your hemoglobin A1C. But very specifically, you don't have to be diagnosed with endometriosis to have what's called estrogen dominance. So you would actually run this lab 5 days before that you get your day 1 of menstruation, or you would run it right when you start to get those symptoms, right? So if you start to feel the cramping and the bloating and whatever it might feel like, especially if it's before that you get your period, very, very important to test. Now you can test right up to your period, that's okay. And what I would like to look for are lower levels of progesterone and higher levels of estrogen. And if that's the case, we're going to use a product called Estrogen Balance. We're also going to use potentially a product to help regulate blood sugar. If there are higher levels of testosterone, we're going to use another product to help downregulate testosterone in women. We're going to use magnesium, which works incredibly well as well, which is the full spectrum magnesium. We're going to make sure that you're using the Dr Cabral Daily Protocol, which is not only the daily nutritional support shake, but also the daily fruit and vegetable blend. And that daily fruit and vegetable blend and all of those other great sulfur-based cruciferous vegetables in there will also help to interact and block a lot of the harmful effects of estrogen. So there's a lot of great things that we can do. I would love to see you run that 1 lab test, which will enable you to hopefully have less of these symptoms. One other thing I would run is potentially the omega-3 test. And the omega-3 test, if you have higher levels of omega-6, will actually cause more of these same symptoms. I would love for you either to use the omega-3 support supplement, either the liquid or the capsules, totally up to you, 2 capsules or a half a tablespoon a day, or I would run the lab test. The other thing I can say is that evening primrose oil, starting with the last 1 week before you do get these symptoms, you could do that as well. And that's been shown to help to a great degree as well, GLA. Okay. So check out all of those and check out previous podcasts as well for menstrual cramps, for painful menstruation or painful periods. All right, Anne's up next. Anne is asking, hi, Dr. Cabral, I love your show. I wanted to get your thoughts on a product called partially hydrolyzed guar gum. I've read it can be added to liquids and used in baking to increase the fiber content of food. Thanks so much. Okay, so I'm a fan of guar gum. Like, it's one of those few prebiotics that actually has real benefit to it, that can be used with baking, that can be used as a natural thickener, that is not a xanthan gum, and that is not a like hydrolyzed tapioca starch, which I've seen cause inflammation in people. So the nice thing is that, I mean, we have a good decade of data for what fibers work for people and what don't. And the only way that we've learned as well is from the research and then using it in private practice. Well, eventually you just see tens of thousands of people and you get to see what's working and what's not. So guar gum seems to work fine. Another one is I can never pronounce it, Gellin gum, which is Gellun, I believe. Other ones that don't work well and that I can't recommend for health reasons would be a xanthan gum. And some of the other ones, acacia, I believe is pronounced. It's ACACIA. That can be fine. Some people it does not work as great for. So I'm just not as huge a fan because, again, it can be totally fine for some and not for others. They're putting that in a lot of like coconut milk-based drinks. So I'm fine with the guar gum. When it says partially hydrolyzed, I just want to make sure what they mean by that. Does that just mean that, it's partially broken down, that it's still coming from a healthy source? And so I would just look in that in general. I'll just let you know that for baking in general, we're not using a lot. Like when I make my gluten-free, dairy-free pancakes for my family on the weekends, we're just using straight oat flour. And now I've had to switch from the Bob's Red Mill. Hopefully I'll be able to go back to them in the future when they put up a certificate of analysis showing that it's glyphosate-free. I believe that, I'm hoping that it was just a contamination issue and that we can get back to normal with them. But right now, we're essentially just taking oats from a gluten-free organic source and food processing them, turning them into a powder, and then just using that for our powder. We don't use any of the gums with that. But again, hydrolyzed in general is just meaning that it's basically extensively broken down and it causes less reaction. It's not a bad thing. So it doesn't mean that it hydrolyzed is a bad thing. Now, hydrolyzed in terms of fat is a bad thing because you're essentially breaking down a fat molecule and the body's not able to digest it as well. But hydrolyzed in terms of certain types of proteins or certain types of fibers like we're talking about here, I don't have as much of an issue. So that was basically a long-winded answer for that it's probably fine if it's by a reputable company. So hopefully that helps. And then also it's the dosage sometimes. You just want to be careful not to add too much because then that could add a little bit of the bloating. Remember, it's a prebiotic. That doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means if you have candida overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth, that it might affect you because you might get some bloating and gas. Now, again, it doesn't mean it's a bad product. What it means is that you need to knock down the candida overgrowth and the bacterial overgrowth so that you can go back to being a good product. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, Kristen's up next. Kristen's asking, hi, Dr. Cabral. I've been eating a whole foods plant-based diet for about a year now since cutting out meat and eggs. I've always avoided dairy. I've only had 2 periods. I've sought advice from different naturopaths who told me that I should be eating meat again to get my period back. I had blood work done as well as an ultrasound. I don't have PCOS and my blood sugar is normal. My thyroid levels are normal. My naturopath did diagnose me with leaky gut, which I'm trying to heal, and low progesterone. Is it possible that I'm not absorbing nutrients possibly or properly? Is low progesterone due to a lack of protein? Thank you so much for taking the time to answer my question. All right, Kristen, great questions. So let's kind of work backwards. Low progesterone will not be due to low protein, most likely. I'll tell you in just a moment of that it's possible in a roundabout type of way. Low progesterone, from a clinical perspective, is almost always because of some heightened part of stress, without a doubt, because it will downregulate progesterone for sure. So I would love for you to run what's called a thyroid adrenal hormone test or an adrenal hormone test. When people tell me their thyroid levels are normal, I say, okay, does that mean normal or does it just mean within range from a clinical, like from a conventional medicine perspective? So just check your TSH levels. Were they between 0.5 and 2? And then what did your T4 and T3 levels look like? Okay. Did you also run your cortisol levels the same day? What did those look like? And were those within not a normal range, but an optimal range? All right, so I want to look at that. And then what did your estrogen levels look like? I want to look at those as well. I want to test those specifically during the luteal phase, ideally within the last 5 days or so to 7 days of your cycle. Now, I've talked about this before during my seed cycling podcast of how to balance female hormones. I do hope that you listen to that because it came out, I asked this question on July 2nd, so it came out well after that. So I talked about if you don't have a period, and you need to take the test, well, you take it when you may still feel like you have some symptoms of premenstrual-based symptoms. Okay, so what would I look at? Well, I would absolutely look at that lab. If you have leaky gut, well, then I would run an organic acids test to see the reason for the leaky gut. Is it candida overgrowth? Is it bacterial overgrowth? So you have to understand, and that I do agree with your naturopaths, that if you're an ectomorphic body type or a Vata-based body type, and you're not getting enough protein, it absolutely can cause amenorrhea, or if you're exercising too much, if you're in more of the Vata-based states. Okay, this is very common amongst Vata-based women or Pitta women who exercise too much. It can happen over any woman. That's the truth. But that does not mean you need to eat more meat. Okay, it doesn't mean that. But it means that you need to get in more protein. Now, meat is just the most anabolic type of protein, which means it can help you get your period back faster if it was due to a lack of amino acids and protein, which is putting you in more of a catabolic state. So yes, eggs, fish, and meat, and especially red meat, will help you get it back faster, right? Because it builds up iron and amino acids. I'm not saying that you need to eat those foods, but I am saying that is the truth. And my goal with the Cabral concept is just to bring you the truth. That's it. That's my only allegiance is to the truth. Okay. Now you might say, I never want to eat meat. Okay. Well, then maybe we try some fish and we try some eggs. If you don't want to do those two, I understand. So now we stay on the vegan-based diet, but we need to ramp up what? Well, we need to ramp up lentils or black beans, or we need to use hemp hearts. We need to use if you're not doing right now the Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol, absolutely, I would highly recommend that. I would also recommend taking the omega-3 support. I would recommend taking the balanced zinc to get more zinc in your body as well. I would also recommend getting more vitamin C. Okay, all of this is possible by literally doing 2 of the daily nutritional support shakes per day. That will then get you 30 grams of protein. If you eat 1 to 2 other meals, ideally you're going to do smoothie, I should say, not just a shake, smoothie. You're doing lunch, then we do a mid-afternoon one, which we don't always recommend, but maybe for you we do. Again, I can't give medical advice. So I'm just giving recommendations without knowing you, with literally just reading 5 sentences. I'm just trying to give you a place to start. Probably do another smoothie with the 2 scoops of daily nutritional support so that you have to do less other supplements. I would use the daily fruit and vegetable blend, and then I would do a normal dinner at night. Both of those, lunch and dinner, can be vegan proteins if you'd like, with somewhere around a half a cup to a cup. So now you're going to get somewhere around 50 grams to 60 grams of protein per day, and that will then hopefully be enough protein to satiate your body, pull you out of that catabolic-based state. So hopefully that helps. It's absolutely a great place to start, and a lot of times you have to figure out what is best for you. Do you want to be completely devoid of animal-based protein or fish or eggs? And if you're dedicated to that and you're committed to it, while we can still help you in other ways, without a doubt, I just want to let you know that there is truth to what your other naturopaths are telling you as well, especially if it's low iron and low B vitamins and low all those things. Now remember, the daily nutritional support will take care of all of those through the powder, the shake powder. However, you might want to do more of it through food as well. I'll let that always be your option. Okay, let's get in one more question. This one's from Sandy. Can you please tell me if you can recommend any of your supplement for hot flashes? These started about 4 months ago, about 10 a day, where I break out in a sweat head to toe. I only sleep about 4 hours a night. When I did the 7-day detox, they were not as intense for the first 2 days. I did a search on the podcast, become back with 0 results for hot flashes. I made an appointment to talk with a gynecologist, but not until August 20th. Any suggestions greatly appreciated. God bless for all the information you provide us with, Sandy. All right, Sandy, thank you so much for writing in. I'm surprised if we've never talked about hot flashes before, since we work with that in our practice all the time. A couple things we need to do is, of course, I would love you to run the thyroid adrenal hormone test. Here's what I want, though. I would love you to run the omega-3 test as well. I would love you to run the hair tissue mineral analysis and then the organic acids test, right? Love you to run all of those. But we need to use the deep sleep protocol to get you into deeper sleep. We need to use a product called Estrovera once before bed, which is clinically proven in over 72% of women to just eliminate hot flashes, okay? It's from a rhubarb extract. Works great for hot flashes during menopausal hot flashes. Okay, Adrenal Soothe as well as at dinner. That's going to be 2 capsules. CBD oil can be very helpful, but not at first because, again, it's more symptomatic. But CBD oil is amazing. But Deep Sleep Protocol, Estrovera, Adrenal Soothe at dinner, the Full Spectrum Magnesium, 1 capsule at lunch, 2 at dinner. And then I would also recommend, see if I can get one more recommendation, which is right in the back of my mind. It's holding on right there, Estrogen Balance. 1 at breakfast, 1 at dinner. Okay, so again, I can't give medical advice. That is just a recommendation based on symptoms. It does not mean that you should do it. You have to do what you feel is best for you. But again, based on symptoms, I would love you to run lab tests, okay? If you run lab tests, we can give you exact recommendations. But those right there we've done this many thousands of times, right? With hot flashes and all sorts of different symptoms with those types of protocols. But I would love you to run some lab tests beyond blood work in order to get the actual data points, the analysis that you need. Okay, I'll try to link up those in the show notes today. So just go to nutrition.com/968 for all of today's show notes and links. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to another Cabral Concept, and especially our weekend house calls. It means a lot to me. Your support means everything. And just remember that if it's still going on, today is the last day to head on over to equilibriumnutrition.com and get a completely free $40 value daily nutritional support powder, our vanilla flavor. This is just a literally listener appreciation. That's all it is. Any order over $150 while supplies last. I'm not sure if they're still available, but you can just head on over to equilibriumnutrition.com. Any order, any lab, anything over $150, we send one to you completely free. Just to thank you. Honestly, so appreciative that you're a part of this community. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll speak with you tomorrow on our Mindset and Motivation Monday. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.